Okay, hi everyone, welcome back to this video series for Cisco ASA firewall. Defining a Syslog server, you must define an external UDP or TCP based Syslog server before the Cisco ASA can send logs to it. To define a Syslog server, navigate to the configuration, device management, logging, Syslog servers add. ASDM prompts you to specify an interface where the Syslog server resides, the IP address of the server, a selection of UDP or TCP port and their respective port numbers, and where you want to send the log in the Cisco EMB-LEM format to UDP-based Syslog servers. For TCP-based Syslog servers, the security appliance enables you to create a secure TLS connection so that the messages can be encrypted, drops all new connections if the session to the Syslog server cannot be established. To enable secure communication between the security appliance and the TCP-based Syslog server, select the Enable Secure Logging SLS, TLS, TCP only option to allow new connections to be established. If the TCP-based Syslog server is down, enable the Allow User Traffic to Pass when TCP Syslog server is down global option, which is configured in the Syslog servers window. In Figure 324, two Syslog servers to which log messages are to be sent are defined. The first server collects the logs using UDP and in the Cisco EMB-LEM format, and the other server uses TCP port 1470 to accept the Syslog messages. The security appliance sends all logging level 7 and below messages to these servers. The security appliance is configured to establish secure connection with the TCP-based Syslog server. If the Syslog server is not enabled, the security appliance continues to establish new connections. So you can see here in example 348 shows the equivalent configuration of 324. Defining an email server. The security appliance enables you to send sensitive log messages via an email. This is extremely useful if you are monitoring a specific event or a group of events and want to get alerted right away when it occurs. To define a new SMTP server, navigate to Configuration, Device Management, Logging, SMTP, and specify the IP address of the primary and optionally the secondary SMTP server. Additionally, you must specify the source and destination email addresses. You can define them by choosing Configuration, Device Management, Logging, Email Setup. The source address is used to generate the log messages, whereas the destination email address is where the messages are sent. In example 349, a logging list called FO cable is set up with a message ID of 101002 to classify the failover cable issues. This logging list is linked to send email messages from chicago@securemeinc.com to admin@securemeinc.com using 192.168.10.50 as the primary email server and 192.168.10.51 as the secondary email server. So you can see here in example 349, configuration of email logging, storing logs internally and externally. The ASA enables you to save the buffered log messages as files to the local flash or to an FTP server for future analysis. The security appliance supports two methods to save buffered logs: flash logging, FTP logging. Flash logging Using the flash logging method, you can save the log messages located in the buffer space to the local flash disk 0 or disk 1. The security appliance creates a file in the syslog directory of flash using the default name of log, that's YYYYMMDDHHMMSS.txt, where YY stands for year, the first M for month, and D for days, H for hours, and the second M for minutes, and S for seconds. Navigate to configuration, device management, logging setup, and enable the save buffer to flash checkbox. If you click the configure flash usage, you can specify the following options: maximum flash to be used by logging, the maximum space the security appliance can use to store the buffered logs in flash, minimum free space to be preserved, the minimum space in kilobytes that the security appliance should maintain to ensure that there is room left in flash for other administrative tasks. Example 350 shows that the security appliance is allocating 2 MB of space to save logs in flash, and the minimum free space in flash should be around 4 MB. FTP logging. The security appliance can transfer the buffer logs to an FTP server to conserve disk space. You can enable this by navigating to configuration, device management, logging setup, and enabling the save buffer to FTP server checkbox. You must click configure FTP settings, then the enable FTP client checkbox, and specify the IP address, username, and password. In example 351, an appliance is set up to send log files to an FTP server located at 192.168.10.150. The username to log into the FTP server is Cisco with a password of C1$C0123, and that's a capital C and that's a lowercase c. The logs will be stored in the root directory of the FTP server for that user. Syslog message ID tuning. The security appliance sends all log messages to the logging device, internal and external. However, if you are not interested in logging a particular message, you can suppress it by navigating to configuration, device management, logging, syslog setup, selecting the message ID, clicking edit, and selecting the disable messages checkbox. You can also achieve the same result with the CLI by issuing the no logging message command followed by the message ID number as shown in example 352, where message ID 101001 is disabled. So you can see here, example 352, disabling a message ID. Even though at debug level, Syslog provide extensive information about the traffic and device health, many enterprises do not want to enable Syslogs at that level. They choose to enable logging at information or notification level and then move the appropriate debugging level to a lower level. You can change a message's logging level by navigating to configuration, device management, logging, syslog setup, selecting the message ID, clicking edit, and selecting the appropriate level under logging level. NetFlow Secure Event Logging, NSEL. Cisco Security Appliance supports using the NetFlow architecture to send syslogs if you are using version 8.2.1 or higher. If you are using ASA's 5580s, you can also enable this feature in the 8.1 version of the software. Sending logs via Syslog is considered inefficient because Syslogs send logs in the ASCII text format, which produces logs that are verbose and lengthy. Syslogs generate a single UDP packet for each log messages, which results in a large number of small packets. Generating lots of text-based syslog adds considerable load on the security appliance. Using NetFlow as a means to send syslogs can greatly enhance performance. The security appliance generates log information in binary, which can be parsed easily and send multiple records in a single flow packet. Cisco ASA uses NetFlow version 9, which leverages the template-based approach as a flow export mechanism. The NetFlow template defines the structure of the NetFlow record being exported. The NetFlow implementation export records when a significant event in the life of a flow, such as creation and teardown, occurs. The security appliance also exports information about flows that are allowed or denied by access control lists, ACLs. You cannot display the NetFlow packets on a terminal session, unlike what you can do with a Cisco iOS router, where you can view the NetFlow data via a terminal session. Additionally, the security appliance exports the flow information periodically to a collector. This is also different from the typical NetFlow version 9, such as on a Cisco iOS router, where the flows are exported in a single packet when a number of flows are collected. When you are exporting logs via NetFlow, you do not want to send the same logs via Syslog to avoid duplication of packets. The security appliance allows you to disable all Syslog messages that generate the same information as NetFlow. This way, you do not have to manually disable the individual Syslogs in the ASA configuration. The security appliance disables 106.15, 106.023, 106.100, 302.013, 302.014, 302.015, 302.016, 302.017, 302.018, 302.020, 302.021, 313.001, 313.008, and 710.003 Syslog messages. The configuration of NSEL can be broken up into two steps. Step 1, defining a NetFlow collector. Using ADSM, you can define a NetFlow collector by navigating to Configuration, Device Management, Logging, NetFlow. Add under Collectors. You can specify the IP address, the UDP port that your collector uses for NetFlow packets, and the interface where the collector resides. You can optionally configure a delay in sending the flow creation event. This option is useful if you have a large number of created connections, so that the appliance can package them up into fewer export packets. If the flow is torn down before the configured delay, only the flow teardown event is dispatched and the flow creation event is not sent. You configured this by selecting the delay transmission of flow creation events for short-lived flows checkbox. The security appliance sends the template record to your NetFlow collector. By default, every 30 minutes. You can change the frequency when the template record is sent in minutes Under the template timeout rate option box, the default timeout value of 30 minutes works in most cases. Figure 325 illustrates that a new NetFlow collector is being added. It is located toward the MGMT interface at 172.18.82.81 and listens on UDP port 2055. The Disable Redundant Syslog Messages checkbox is also enabled to avoid duplication of Syslog messages. Example 353 shows the equivalent configuration of figure 325. And you can see here, figure 325, defining NetFlow collector. Step 2, defining a NetFlow export policy. The security appliance does not send NetFlow to an external collector until you classify the traffic type it should be monitoring to generate NetFlow events. For example, if you want it to monitor all traffic for NetFlow exports, specify a global policy that analyzes all traffic. NetFlow export policy is constructed via the modular policy framework. Follow these steps to successfully configure an export policy. Step 1. Navigate to Configuration, Firewall, Service Policy Rules. Select Inspection Default Policy and then click Add Insert after ASDM launches a Service Policy Rule Wizard where you can select Global Applies to all interfaces. Click Next. Step 2. Under Traffic Match Criteria, specify a traffic class name of NetFlow. Select any traffic as the traffic match criteria and click Next. Step 3. Under Rule Action, click the NetFlow tab and click Add. A new window opens where you can specify flow event type. Select all and enable the send checkbox next to the collector's IP address. This collector was defined under the preceding defining a NetFlow collector section. Click OK and then click Finish to complete defining a NetFlow export policy. If you prefer to use the CLI, you can define an identical policy as shown in example 354. Cisco ASA also enables you to monitor the status of the NetFlow exports if you use the Show Flow Export Counters command as shown in example 355. It shows you the number of export packets sent and statistics about any potential export issues. So I'm going to leave it here this evening for this video. If you like listening, please consider like, sharing and subscribing. Thank you.